From roommates to co-hosts, this is The Back Check with Brendan Azoff and Stefen Rosner, your go-to destination for New York hockey and NHL news. And now it's time to drop the puck. Here are your hosts, Brendan Azoff and Stefen Rosner.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 13 of The Back Check. Brendan here, Stefen here. We have a great episode planned today. I mean, we're going to start it off with a lot of animosity from my end. But, Stefen, how you doing today, buddy, before I get all red in the face?
You're already red in the face. And, Brendan, every episode's a good episode. You don't have to start with that.
Today is a comedic episode because of the epic failure that I had on just in front of everybody yesterday. So it's a special twist on this one.
Well, before we get to that, first off, Brendan and I went to SUNY Cortland. We were part of the sport management program, and we are very fortunate to be partnering up with them. So let's give them a little read, shall we? So SUNY Cortland Sport Management is a proud sponsor of the Back Check. In the SUNY Cortland Sport Management program, students get hands-on training in sport event management and sport media production. The Sport Management Department is the oldest sports-specific major in New York State and boasts an impressive list of alumni, something me and Brendan know a lot about. To get more info about the program, go to cortland.edu/SPM or look up Cortland SPMG on your favorite social media. SUNY Cortland Sport Management, where the tomorrow's sport industry leaders practice their craft. And Brendan, shout out to our Professor Boris, who helped us get this all going because we took a class with him. And it was a podcasting class. I remember me, you, and someone else, our friend Tommy Dolan. Shout out to him. We spoke about the hockey playoffs. I'd never done before. What a weird thing that was. That was the most awkward podcast I've ever been a part of. But we realized it was our thing. Ever since we've been doing stuff. So shout out to Boris and Sport Management Program at SUNY Cortland, helping us find what we want to do in life. So thank you again.
Yeah, no, it was a good time at that school for a lot of reasons. But the sport management department was dope. So can I get things kicked off now?
No, actually, not yet.
Why not yet? All
right, fine, go.
Oh, you want to talk about your signaling? You want to talk about your city driving? Because you're not a real city driver.
No, I'm not. I'm not a city driver. I work on Long Island, live on Long Island, right? You don't signal. What is wrong with you? I know, Brendan. You don't signal either. I've seen you driving around Brooklyn. It's like you're on a roller coaster and you want to do whatever you want. Fine. But I drive around Long Island all day, and it's just the audacity of some people to just cut right in front of you. If you're going to cut me off, just give me a chance to, not for your sake. I don't really care about you.
You got to be paying attention.
I'm paying attention. When it's bumper-to-bumper traffic and I'm waiting to get into a lane and you just swing out in front of me, what would you like me to do? If I hit you,
it's your fault.
It's my fault. That's not fair.
That's just good business.
It's BS, and you know
it's good business.
All right, get to your.
You know, it's not good business. You see that segue?
Yeah, it was great.
That's a good segue. Listen to me. I woke up yesterday.
Chris Breezy?
I did. I wish, because I would have thrown the bet. I woke up and I had a very vivid dream that Colin Blackwell was going to score a goal for the New York Rangers and that he was going to skate down the bench, dap up the bench. I saw his little beard, little misshapen over here, and I was like, okay, I got to bet this. I called every single one of our friends. I told you about it, and I said, I had this dream. I have to find a way to throw it. The only site I could find Colin Blackwell having a goal on that was legit was FanDuel, like DraftKings, those. But, of course, you can't bet that in New York State. So I went through all my resources, couldn't find somebody to throw it for me. Colin Blackwell scores a goal. And for those of you that don't believe me and think I'm making this up, I put it on Twitter at 5:40 saying I had a dream that Colin Blackwell was going to score a goal, and I can't believe it happened. I really can't believe it happened. It was plus 550. I would have made a nice little handful of cash, but no, because God help New York State legalizing mobile sports betting.
Well, you forgot a big detail there. What hand?
Oh, yeah. In my dream, he was dapping up the bench with his right hand. The only time the Rangers forwards skate that way to the bench is the second period. He scored in the second period. It's very eerie. I was hoping that last night I would dream about lottery numbers, but that didn't come to fruition. So I'm now sitting here cashless and very angry. And I know that I will wake up in 3 weeks and just remember this feeling and just go, damn it, and go right back to bed because I'm going to be pissed off.
Well, me and you are in a nursing home. I'm going to bring it up.
I'm never going to forget it. I took a screenshot of the tweet. I took a screenshot of the messages I sent my cousin that lives in Jersey, but of course he's at school in Delaware, so it's not legal there either. And I said, you got to be kidding me. So I'm going to make a blanket, I think. You can make those custom blankets where you can put the images. I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to sleep with it just to remind myself of my failure.
What about your family member who I won't name that threw bets for me? Maybe or maybe not.
That's
Drew bets
my
for me in
cousin.
best. That's Delaware?
He's at Delaware now.
So why didn't he throw for your FanDuel?
Because he's in Delaware. The mobile sports
It's not legal
betting
in Delaware?
is not legal in Delaware. I got caught in the perfect storm, Stefen. I tried.
Speaking of storm, guys, stay safe tomorrow. It's going to be a snowy one.
Stay safe tomorrow. If you're listening in Texas, I wish you the best right now. It's a disaster there.
Crazy. I didn't even know what happened.
What happened was they don't have the infrastructure for the cold winter storms like we do, and they got hit hard, and everything's freezing over. I know for my job, I work with nurses. There's hospitals that have water pipes that are frozen and bursting. Like, they're really not prepared for this, and it's kind of scary to see how quickly Mother Nature can just destroy us. But we got to talk about some hockey.
Oh yeah, hockey. That's why we're here.
That's what our show's about. We're not weather.com. We are a hockey podcast, and we have some league news to get into because this weekend there was a big outdoor thing that's going to go on called Lake Tahoe, right? I mean, everyone's familiar with Lake Tahoe. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare thought they were going to be playing on the lake, which is just a complete safety hazard. Come on, Pierre, you got to be better than that. But it's going to be awesome to watch. And the question is, will the Rangers be sneaking into an appearance on Sunday? Probably not, but there's an outside chance that they might be.
Well, this whole thing with the Flyers is just it's so unfortunate. I mean, we've seen COVID. We'll get to it more in detail about how much COVID has taken this season by storm. But if the Rangers do sneak in, that'll just be embarrassing because they'll lose on a big stage. And I don't know if you can handle that, Brennan.
No, the Rangers are 3-0 in outdoor games. They don't lose outdoors. 4-0 actually.
Yeah, your famous line when we're talking about throwing bets is, well, something's got to lose eventually. So
I mean, that is very true. It holds true forever. It will hold true the course of time. Nobody will ever go undefeated, which means somebody has to lose eventually. And if they played the Bruins outdoors the way they played them, I can't even say that because now everyone's hurt. We're not talking about them yet.
Okay, fine, fair enough. Well, I think Saturday's going to be fine, just fine.
Yeah.
You got Vegas versus Colorado. That's going to be fun. And again, those are two teams that we spoke about at the beginning of the year that are probably going to finish. It should be in the Western Conference Finals. That's how it should go.
But remember, there is no Western.
Yeah, whatever
Conference
they call it now, they're going to end up playing.
That could be the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's kind of actually disgusting.
That's pretty cool.
I thought about it.
I think it's pretty cool because you could have an interdivisional Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Like, obviously, when you hear interdivisional, the East can't play an East team in the Stanley Cup, but the Carolina Hurricanes are usually in the Metro. They could technically play an East team in the Cup, and that's like playing a Metro Division foe. To me, it's unique because there will be no other season like this after it. So,
well, don't say that. I don't know.
I'm knocking on wood, but we're getting in the right direction. Vaccines are starting to go out.
I'm a huge fan of the Canadian division. I love seeing the Canucks get absolutely stomped.
Okay, now you brought this up. So before you finish your point, I have a question for you. Connor McDavid is like a front runner for, Hart again. And there's a lot of front runners. Austin Matthews has talked about as being a front runner. I personally don't think their success would be the same playing against other teams. I think that division is just putrid defensively.
Except Montreal.
But even Montreal has come back to life.
Yeah, but they're still probably they're probably the best defensive team in that division.
Which is what proves my point.
Fair enough. I mean, all the stats this year, it's going to be like baseball last year, where like Trevor Bauer is one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he's going to get a huge contract. It's like, look what I know. He was in a pretty good division last year, but it was a shortened season against X, Y, Z opponents. So do you really count that? That's the biggest thing. Do you count this as a season? Of course, McDavid probably has a great year against everybody else, but how many times is he playing the Canucks? How many times is he playing the Senators? I mean, It's ridiculous. Look at the teams in the East. They should wait. Remember Hellebuck last year? He wins the Vezina. Tuukka Rask had the better stats, but based on Hellebuck's team, Winnipeg Jets, Buffalo not back, issues they had on defense, in general, their team, he won. But you look at a team in the East now, and players in the East going against, obviously defense is a strong point for a number of teams in the East.
Yep.
Offense is the bigger, but are we going to waste stuff now? Hellebuck was Wade. If you were saying Vezina is the best goalie in the league, Tuukka Rask, technically, statistically, was the best netminder in the league. Things in the future, is that how we're going to do it now? Depending on which division's the strongest, we're going to go, okay, they deserve they had a harder competition. I mean, anyone in the East has a harder competition than Canada. They do.
Well, I mean, Hellebuck played more games than Rask.
Oh,
He had some better numbers.
I agree with Hellebuck getting it. I just think the system's a little flawed. But if we're going to do that now, we're not going to go based on stats, and we're going to weigh in other things like factors like the teams, then I feel like you got to do that for the divisions and for these awards as well.
You have to. They will. I mean, if McDavid scores 100 points in 56 games, it's hard to say.
How many players though this year are going to be? Could be the star elite players. Could be a point per game or more players. There's a handful of them.
No, there's a lot. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, look what Pasternak's done since he came back.
But if you have Austin Matthews, let's just make this up. You have Austin Matthews going against I don't know. Let's just for fun, Pasternak for best player in the league, whatever it is. Well, the East Division is just a better team.
I mean, so it depends on the overall stats at that point. If Matthews is 30 points more.
No, but if it's close and you go, well, they play, let's say that season ends in Ottawa, Vancouver, Edmonton, let's say, making it up, 3 worst defensive teams in the league. And then Pasternak, and you have the Islanders, even the Rangers, Flyers are like, let's say 3 best. I'm making it up again. And Pasternak had scored more goals, maybe less assists, but was around there. I feel like Pasternak's deserved it.
Yeah, but they didn't do that last year. They gave it to Draisaitl when McKinnon carried the Avalanche, and there was nobody within 40 points of him, and Panarin carried the Rangers. So I don't know how their MVP voting is going to go, but who do you got, Vegas or Colorado in Game 1 in Lake Tahoe?
I have the utmost confidence right now in Marc-Andre Fleury, so I'm going to say Vegas.
Awesome. I'll take Colorado. And Philly versus Boston. Who do you got?
Rangers.
If that happens.
Philly versus Boston. These are such good games. I just think Boston. I just like a lot what I've been seeing from Boston, and I know Tuukka Rask is probably going to be in there. He's having a great season, and they have guys coming back. They have guys getting healthy, and I think that they're just a better team.
Awesome. I'll take Philly. Cool. So we'll get split down the middle there. And the NHL has announced that they have 29 more games that have been rescheduled. 6 more postponements still have to get rescheduled. They hit the century mark when it comes to players on the COVID protocol list. Not right now, but over the course of the season. So do you think that it's time for a little bit of concern, or do you think we got past the initial, okay, this stinks, and now they're going to figure it out a little bit more?
Well, I think the changes they made, I don't understand the one behind the bench, the glass, because first off, I think that causes more issues. I don't understand because it doesn't help. 2, these delay game penalties now, you have to assume there's glass there. So what are they taking mental rulers? Or sorry, I don't know. The mental rulers, whatever, to measure, okay, would have hit, like that's dumb. You can't assume anything in hockey.
Officials' judgment.
Yeah, and we see how officials judge things with other rules.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it, not me.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's just I don't understand that the behind the bench removing the glass to airflow. These guys are all with each other. What airflow? The fans' airflow?
Don't get me started on that, because listen, I take COVID. Yeah, I don't say I take it as seriously as you do. I try to, I have to live my life a little bit every once in a while, but I do take it seriously. My family takes it seriously. But the funniest thing in all sports, not just hockey, the players put the mask on when they get to the bench, but when they go out, they're fine. Alexander Georgiev, the Rangers' backup goalie, wears a mask on the bench. But he plays. He plays, and he doesn't wear a mask. So, I mean, what is it? Selective to when it's going to attack?
Listen, when you line up for the faceoff dot, and your head is pretty much headbutting the ref and the other player, you're within 6 feet. It doesn't matter. At that point, it doesn't matter.
But then if they put the mask on after, it's okay. We mitigate it. Like the whole thing, even the NBA, when they play against each other, they're in close contact. You're posting up each other, no mask. But if you go to the bench, you have to sit 6 feet apart and you have to wear your mask. I mean, at that point, it's already transmitted if there was COVID in the facility.
What do you think about, the craziness that's happening with COVID in the NHL, right? And now we're allowing fans into the building. I know it's money making. It's all about money.
It's not as bad as you think.
It's not as bad as thing. I know, but I'm saying though is you're having a major issue in the NHL. Now you're gonna be these guys are getting tested, blah blah. You could get COVID within 5 minutes. What if a player tests positive during a game and leave? We saw that happen in Vegas where a player tested positive, leaves the game.
They're nowhere near the fans.
But you just remove the bench. You just move the glass behind the bench, and now the airflow is everywhere.
I went to the Florida game.
Yes.
I have firsthand experience now. I'm an NHL insider with 3 R's.
Yes.
You're not allowed to sit in those sections. Like,
yeah, okay.
You're not anywhere within 10 rows, 12 rows, whatever it was of the glass. Like, the seating started 15 rows up from the ice. So there's no way that they're coming anywhere near you. And they're all taped off. Like, because they still have the sponsor tarps.
Yeah.
So the seating starts well behind that.
I'm trying to go to the Coliseum on my birthday. March 6th, they now play the Sabres. I would love to go to that game.
Hey, at Islanders, you hear this? He wants to go on his birthday. When's your birthday, Stefen? Say it louder.
March 6th.
March 6th. Islanders, set it up. Hook up tickets to the back check.
But now Lou Lamoriello is saying he doesn't know when fans will be allowed because he's taking this very seriously, which he should, which completely understand. This is also a guy that he's only letting the Islanders wear the reverse retros 3 times this year because he's against those.
Oh, because it's the same as their home jersey.
No, it's just he doesn't like change. Doesn't like change. So it is what it is. But Brendan, Alex Galchenyuk is reminding me of Mike Sillinger.
He's going to try to play for every team in the league.
Okay. Galchenyuk is, I think, 24 or 25 teams away.
From playing for he's not getting there. Okay.
No, he's not. No, I didn't say
7th. This is
I lost track. All I remember from him is one good year with the Canadians, right? One good year. And then nothing.
Yeah. I mean, he just checked off 3 teams in 2 days. He went from Ottawa to Carolina to Toronto.
Who was the one that was traded from Ottawa to Carolina and drove down with his dog?
Cedric Paquette.
Okay, hysterical. He didn't know how his dog was going to do. And they asked him an question during his interview about it. And he goes, yeah, she was such a good dog. Or something like that. Just so funny. He traveled they packed everything in the car, made the drive. I can't imagine being a person in that car, let alone a dog that needs to go out for walks. It's crazy. But
yep.
Good dog there. But yeah, Galchenyuk traded from Ottawa to Carolina, then sent by Carolina to Toronto. Ryan Dzingel returns to Ottawa, which I like. And Cedric Paquette, like you said, joins Carolina. Carolina receives Igor Korshkov and David Warsofsky from Toronto. Dzingel was like a depth guy that I really liked. And I think Ottawa realized that they're rebuilding. This is a guy you probably want on your team.
Yeah, I mean, for Ottawa, it makes sense, and for Carolina, it does too, because they get Paquette and Dzingel. They already have skill, so they don't need that Dzingel type player where it's more he has the ability to score. Like, get the Paquette guy that's won it all last year, that knows what it takes to win. Put that on your 3rd, 4th line and let him contribute there. And they obviously don't need Galchenyuk. They have scoring already, so they got some pieces for him. They definitely like something. Carolina knows how to scout and draft.
Well, the Trocheck trade.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. He's such a good player. When I went to Florida and watched the game, couldn't miss him. He was doing everything on the ice. And when he got dealt, I kind of hurt. Even though I wasn't a Florida fan, I felt for Florida fans because that's a guy in your locker room I'm pretty sure he controlled the aux every game, they said. This was a guy that was a real big part of this team. To ship him like an Amazon package. It's crazy. Yep. But if you want to chuckle, Brendan, I was reading about Toronto fans roasting the heck out of John Tavares for the abysmal play he's playing. People are writing that it's probably one of the worst contracts in Toronto history. I eat it up. Man, I eat it up. But
I'm sure that tickles your funny bone.
I didn't hate the guy when he left, but now that people in Toronto, it's great because biggest stage can't get it done, and it is what it is. But Brendan, before we get to some Islander talk, and then we'll be joined by Natalina to talk some Rangers. What do you think of the Golden Knights gold helmets that just burn your eye sockets?
Atrocious. I don't care. I don't care if you liked it. If you liked it, 1, you're wrong. 2, those were atrocious. The Kings wore chrome silver in that outdoor game.
Yes.
I said it then. I said I hated it. It was gross. Please give me these solid colors. I mean, when you drive, right, and the sun comes out, everyone slows down. It's annoying as hell. People put on their sunglasses. You can't drive anywhere. It's the same thing. That should be illegal. How could the other goalie see the puck when the lights reflecting off their domes? I mean, come on. Those were ugly.
What do you think's better, though? Those things or the Dallas Star glow-in-the-dark ones, pretty much?
The jerseys, 100%.
I'm trying to look back. They wore them yesterday, right?
They wore them 3 days. Now they can't stop wearing them.
Okay, well, the Vegas Golden Knights, let me just look back. They won 1-0 on Sunday.
They won them. They wore those in that game.
Okay, so they screwed Colorado, pretty much. Colorado couldn't see the puck.
Colorado couldn't see the puck.
That's why they didn't score.
Got reflectors on their heads.
Yeah, that's absurd. I don't like them at all. I think they're really freaking stupid. And I think after the first time wearing them, you just can't do that. I don't even
Someone had to like them.
Well, first off, let's go to before we get to the Islanders talk. Like advertisements in general, like the Super Bowl commercials, right? How many people saw those commercials and went, "Yes, let's do this for millions of dollars for 30 seconds. I love this. This is great." And you watch the commercial and go, "What the heck? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life." It's stupid, but you know what? It is what it is, Brendan. It is what it is. And Vegas, if it's going to help them win hockey games, strategic advantage right there.
I mean, they're playing with 5D, right? So I guess the helmet's the sixth. All right, let's go to hometown hockey. Obviously, we'll start with the Islanders. We'll get into some Ranger talk. Natalina Focarelli is going to come on. She's going to talk Rangers with us too, and then we'll carry over the Rangers conversation post-interview as well. But the Islanders are doing the exact opposite of what the Rangers are doing.
Well, after going on a 5-game skid, the Islanders are now on an 8-game point streak. They take 2 games in Buffalo. First off, Buffalo is coming off and haven't been played since January 31st. Yeah. They look terrible. They don't get shots on goal. Varlamov, outstanding on Monday. He stopped 21 shots. He did not face a single shot in the third period. Sorokin, his first NHL start that he had a lead in, happened. A 2-0 lead. They win 3-0. He was outstanding. He makes 20 saves. 14 of them were high danger chances. I could go through all of them, but you'd rather just read my article, NY Hockey Now. I wrote a piece on it breaking down each thing, but one of the saves I'll talk about, you like that right there. Yeah, I know Christian does too.
Plug. That's a good plug.
Thank you. I do my job. One of the saves I think goes under the radar is in the first period, before the Islanders even scored, Taylor Hall got on a breakaway. And Sorokin made it look easy. Completely easy. First off, Taylor Hall never picked up his head, which when I watched the replay, I was kind of shocked because this is Taylor Hall, usually a confidence guy. I feel like if you look down at the puck, you're not as confident. And he went right to the back end. Sorokin stayed with him. Islanders find a way to score. And, you know, the rest is history. But that's a big play. I think it's a turning point because if he allows that in, now he's trailing, which he's done every time he's played an NHL game. The Islanders haven't done well when he's allowed a goal. So he makes great saves the whole entire game. There was a stretch, though. He made a 6 save on Yoki Haru, a glove save. For the next 15 minutes and 39 seconds, he did not face a shot.
I mean, okay, so I give credit to the Islanders for that.
It's more the Sabres haven't been playing, and they're not good. And Brendan,
I'm not saying the Islanders did a great job. They did what they had to do, but you got to get a shot. Dump it on goal, for God's sake.
So we had our game, which we didn't talk about yet. We'll save that for later. No. But in that game, my dad was keeping little notes for me because we had to run to hockey. And he goes, all right, Varlamov didn't make a save, but he touched the puck. I think maybe he went behind the net to just feel what up. Not Varlamov, excuse me. Not Varlamov.
Yeah, Varlamov in that game.
In that game. And he's like, he touched the puck. You know, goalies need to have a feel for things. But last night in the win, the good news, or bad news, however you want to take it, Rosal sees his 9-game point streak snapped. 4 goals, 6 assists. He doesn't get the big 10-0 there. But the Islanders still win. Pajot, 5 goals in the last 4 games. And it's not even the way. He is sniping goaltenders. It's not, the confidence is just rushing through his veins. And he's on a line now. Yesterday he played with Villiers, who came back, who played pretty well. With Wallstrom, Kovarov sits. Dal Cole stays in the lineup on the second line, which should be a major, major confidence booster for him because, you know, Dal Cole hasn't scored. He's played very well. And you thought when Villiers came back, it would be, all right, Villiers back on that second line. But Trotz said that Villiers will play on the second and the third line. I loved him on the third line. And again, it's not 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's not how Trotz likes to run it. It's every line can play against anyone as long as they're playing well. And we saw that. But I mean, the biggest storyline was how good Sorokin was. And this is Sorokin. This is what KHL Sorokin looks like when he gets comfortable. Every start, he has gotten better and better. And last night, just some of the saves he was making, he was in a split probably every other save. And while you want to say maybe that's because he was off his angle when you have to stretch and make saves, deflection after deflection save. And I wrote in my piece, I don't want to give it away too much, but when a goalie's as aggressive as Sorokin is, deflections have nowhere to go. You know, if he's far back in his crease, you give up so much more area. You're trying to track a puck, you change directions, you have X amount of area to shoot at. When you're out at the top of your crease and the shot gets deflected an inch or two away from you, it's going right into you. It has no place to go. But Buffalo seemed to, that was their way they were going to try to score last night. and Sorokin just read everything. It was perfect. Even the shots he didn't read well, that he fought off, where the rebounds went wherever they wanted to, he fought them off. He battled all night. Again, 14 high danger saves, and 20 saves in the game. The Islanders didn't play well to getting that 2-0 lead. They got caught in their own zone a lot, trouble clearing, taking penalties. Sabres scored, by the way. It was a power play goal by Olsen, no chance for Sorokin, but after video review, the play was deemed offsides. And during his post-game conference, Shannon Hogan asked him and goes, "What are you going to remember from your first NHL win?" And he said, and I quote, I think, "Replay review."
Video review. He said video review.
Okay, fine. Same point. He said video review. And I thought, wow, he's a star goaltender, stud goaltender, and he's a comedian. Loved it. It was awesome.
Well, now I have to dampen your mood.
No.
Because I have no choice with how I feel. So I have to bring you back to my level a tiny bit.
I don't want to.
This is more an observation, just because I've been watching the Islanders and I get the same feeling. Do you feel at all like this is exactly what happened last year?
No. I don't.
Why?
Because Beauvillier was a big part of their team last year, and he was out. And last year when they lost their best player, Adam Pelech, after their win streak and point streak, their team went to SHIT. Now you have a player coming back.
I get that aspect of it, but I'm saying they're going to go on a point streak now. They're already on it. To me, it just has the exact same makings where they're going to do enough right now to make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden...
I don't feel the same thing because it's just... It's tough because they're, they beat the Sabres, right? 2 games. Those are teams you have to beat.
Correct.
And I think that this year is just about getting... It's a lot different because, the Islanders could lose games still and still get points. Like the Flyers, when they were on their 5-game skid, they lost the last 2 games to the Flyers in overtime. And while that sucked, you took the points. I feel like there's not as much... I don't think they're going to be mediocre anymore. They're hitting a stride now in a shortened season. Yeah, this streak could end on Thursday, I think, when they play the Penguins. But it's just... I don't have the same feel. As much as you want me to say that it's the similar thing, and I get that.
No, I just see that it's a similar trend. They went on their streak early on last season.
Yeah.
And then they kind of cooled off after. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to cool off, but this seems to be a trend where they go on these runs early on where they just can't be touched. And then eventually you have to normalize. That's just the law of theories right there, right? I mean, they can't stay this hot forever. How many straight games is with a point?
This is, they're going to go on, try to get 9.
Yeah, so, they have to stop.
That's fine, but it's going to stop. But the good thing about this season is you go right back to it. You go right back to it the next night, and you could be playing a weaker team. But in this division, I don't know. The Islanders are in second place right now. It feels, okay, I'll give it to you. I didn't even give it a thought that it's similar to last year. But now that you make me think about it, all right, it's similar. I don't want to think about how bad it could get because, again, it led from a big injury.
I didn't mean that in the negative aspect of how bad it could get. I just meant that this streak feels exactly like the streak they were on last year.
Yes, I would even say that this year's different because they just beat like a really bad team. It wasn't like they, I don't know. That's a very good point, Brendan. I hate you now for putting that in my head. So thank you very much. But I think we have a guest here, and before we get to our guest, Brendan, we have a little short thing from Ultranite.
Yeah, I've got to play an ad. Keep our pockets full.
Hey everybody, it's Brendan here. Do you have old jerseys? What about old hockey equipment? Rather than throw these items out, our friends over at Ultranite would love to have them. This non-profit converts jerseys into reusable face masks, the same face mask the New York Rangers wore in the bubble this past postseason. The old equipment you donate will be given to less fortunate children throughout the state. It doesn't matter what team you root for, let's all come together to make a difference and grow the sport of hockey. To learn more, head to Ultranite.com. That's Ultranite.com.
What an ad read.
Yeah, perfect. You nailed it. Every time.
All right, everybody, ladies and gents, let's welcome to the show Natalina Focarelli. Natalina, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right,
Round 2.
Hey, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
No problem. So, first off, I'll kick it off. So, I thought when you said last time on the episode that you were a big fan of, who did I say? Oh, Kreider. I was wrong. It's Strome. How do you feel about Strom's play this season?
I think he gets a lot of heat from a lot of Rangers fans. And I mean, I know that he's not really producing at what he was last season, but it's kind of hard when you look at the bigger picture to look at a lot of the guys who aren't producing like they were last season. And, in the grand scheme of things, is Ryan Strome the problem for the New York Rangers? I'm going to stand by that he's not. Of course, we want to see more out of him. We want to see more production out of him. But I think it's more just as a whole right now and looking at each individual player and seeing, that all of them could really be doing more. Beside a couple of them right now, we're really playing like at the top of their game. Like Adam Fox is just ridiculous. Shesterkin's kind of coming into his own now. Lindgren's been playing great. And, those guys that we weren't really expecting, like Potato and Rooney, these Blackwell, these types of guys. But looking at our main guys and those big names, it's kind of hard to pinpoint it on one person. And I'm going to stand by Strome still. And hopefully, he could pick it up along with the rest of them.
Oh, he appreciates that. Before Brennan gets to his next question, are you on a swing right now?
It's my room swing. It's like.
Okay. I was just like, is that a swing? Okay. Fair enough. Brendan, continue.
I was gonna extend the olive branch and say they're averaging 2.36 goals per game. The whole team's underperforming right now. So it's not one person. But with that being said, ultimately the blame has to fall on the coaching staff. So do you think it's too early for a coaching change? When do you think that they start to look towards that? I mean, I know my opinion, so I just want to hear yours.
Well, I'm interested to hear your opinion afterward. But okay. I think, we're starting to see on Twitter and amongst the fans this like fire Quinn mentality. And while, of course, like you said, it has to fall at some point on the coaches. And I think a lot of that effort and a lot of, those third period let ups and just seeing how many goals they don't score in the third period and how many times they haven't come back in games. Of course, you're going to look to the coach. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure if maybe it's the combination between, him being a young first-time NHL goalie and then having a team that is the youngest in the NHL and is still in that rebuild phase. I'm not sure maybe if we're kind of seeing those ups and downs and maybe that doesn't mesh well, or maybe, it's just a learning curve. Again, these are professional athletes. These are NHL caliber players. So, when guys are missing open shots and the effort's not there sometimes and those types of things, it's hard to look at the coaching kind of, that's the easy way out, put it all on the coaching staff. You look at a guy like Lindy Ruff, bringing the Devils out and, they're beating us 5-2 and you're like, oh, well, now they have, our guy from last year, and you kind of just like to compare and you're comparing, what Barry Trotz is doing over with the Islanders. So you want to compare all these coaches and put the blame somewhere. But I just think, it's hard to just put it on Quinn. Of course, as the coach, he's got to figure things out, maybe not shuffle the lines too much, maybe try to build some more chemistry. But again, with all the injuries, it's kind of, all he can really do right now. So I don't know. I'm not on like the fire Quinn, train that everyone's kind of looking on and all there. It's easy, of course, to blame the coaches when, your team is struggling. But I think, they'll find their way. Maybe I'm an optimist.
You know who's driving that train?
It's me. Yeah, I am the conductor of that train right now. And you're right. You can't put all the blame on Quinn. There comes a time where the onus got to fall on the players, and these guys have to step up. But Mika Zibanejad has to start bearing the puck, especially with the chances he gets. So there is enough blame on the players. But I've also noticed that the Rangers tend to hire better assistant coaches than head coaches. We look at you have a Mike Sullivan who takes the Pittsburgh Penguins teams to the cup. Lindy Ruff, all of a sudden, he's the worst defensive coach in the world. Now the Devils are beating the Rangers twice. So you have a Jacques Martin who took the Rangers defense and has made them pretty good so far. Maybe he deserves a shot. I just don't think that Quinn was the right guy for it because, like you said, he's a young coach. It's his first coaching job in the NHL. You need somebody with a little more prowess to get the best out of the young players. And I think it was a tough assignment for him. And I think it's kind of run its course. And we're going to talk about a stat later in the show. I don't want to take too much of the interview, but it's going to prove that point.
I mean, if you fire Quinn, you know what's going to happen. Some team's going to pick him up, and he's just going to be lethal. And he's going to play a team. He's going to join a team that plays the Rangers often, and he's just going to cremate you guys.
He won't because he doesn't make enough in-game adjustments. I've said that it was so evident during the playoffs last year. Rod Brindamore completely outcoached him, and you could see it throughout the third period every game. How many leads have they blown? He doesn't have that knowledge of the NHL game yet, where he can make those quick adjustments that other coaches can. And it's tough.
Yeah. So, Natalina, so what are your takeaways from the double game? I know that Quinn was asked about it, Kreider was asked about the compete level where it just wasn't there. And to me, that's completely unacceptable to not give it 130,000% when you're getting paid millions of dollars. But what was your takeaways from that game?
Well, one of my takeaways from that game is that Capo Caco is going to be legit. I think, seeing him yesterday, of course, the poor kid all over his face, he can't score a goal, but the effort from him is there. And for a guy who literally just turned 20 years old, that's really all you can ask for right now. I feel like, I know we talk about effort and everyone's like, we almost had it and the effort was there sometimes, in all those types of games. But with guys like him, you see how bad he wants it. And with a team that's struggling right now, I think that was a takeaway, at least a positive for me. I think another takeaway that you can see, from the last how many ever games from the season is their power play is absolutely abysmal.
Sure.
I don't know if it's, you did lose a guy, even though, with all the controversy going on, you did lose Tony DeAngelo, and he was a part of the power play, and he was, a defensive, offensive guy, and now you're struggling to score, and you have to adjust for that. You don't have Panarin, and it's easy to, again, blame guys, but if you're really gonna, look at who is going to bear the brunt of it, it does have to be guys like Zibanejad. It does have to be guys like Kreider. Even Buchnevich, he got the monkey off his back. We saw it in the game, and he was fired up. But overall, he's kind of been on that downward since he kind of came out hot at the beginning of the season. So I think their inconsistency, they just have these lapses in judgment sometimes, and they don't get enough, sloppy pucks on net. We saw so many disgusting goals yesterday from the Devils, like bouncing pucks over Shesterkin, just goals that you're like, are you kidding me? It seems like we work so hard just to score one measly goal a game, and then you got teams that are throwing the puck on net, but that's hockey. And I think we need to do more of that. We look for that extra pass a little too much, and we're like, why didn't he shoot that? Like, I always say, I don't even know how to ice skate. Like, I literally hold on to the edges of the rink, and I'm like, I think I could have scored there. I'm like, I really think with that opportunity, I could have scored. Like, they're passing a little too much, and they're looking for that pretty perfect shot, and they just got to get more shots on net, because you saw with the Devils yesterday, those pucks are going to go in. You're going to get those bounces sometimes. So I just think, even with Kreider coming out like that and showing his frustration, you don't see that a lot. A lot of hockey guys, they try to be cool and calm in those interviews, but you can kind of see that it's getting to them a little bit, just like it's been getting to the fans. So tomorrow should be interesting.
Oh, tomorrow's going to be lopsided.
Do you think once this offense, well, first Panarin needs to come back, but once this offense wakes up, this is a team that could go on an absolute run?
I mean, so Panarin's supposed to come back tomorrow. That was the announcement that the Rangers just put out. So that's, of course, huge. It's kind of funny, how fans sometimes just like jump over these big things that are happening. They're like, it doesn't matter that Panarin's out. It doesn't matter that this person's out. It doesn't matter this. We should be doing this. And I'm like, you just named like 3 or 4 like of our main guys. Like, you just put guys out there that are game changing guys. Like, we got Panarin to be that game changer. So is our offense going to lack when Panarin's not there? Probably. But I think our defense has shown so much improvement there. Our penalty kill has been incredible. I think, of course, if we can find that offensive game, if our young guys can get going, if our leaders, our veterans can get going, I feel like they could be a team that goes on a tear. They are a lot of fun to watch in those glimpses of those games. You see them like coming together. And I feel like, honestly, they have some of the best 3rd and 4th line guys, I feel like, in our division and in the league. Like, I see so many teams that do so well, but their 3rd and 4th line guys aren't really like that great. They're just doing their job. They're playing their role. I feel like we have guys who are actually scoring, actually playing their role really well. It's just really those top 2 lines that got to get going for us. And again, just putting pucks on net and not looking for that perfect shot every time. So
they need to do what the Islanders do. Me and Brendan talked about it. I mean, the Islanders last year especially, they barely could score, but they made the most of their opportunities. They played structured defense, and they won games and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, the Rangers, I think Quinn even spoke about it. He said that when they played the Islanders, you got to play their style. And it obviously worked out for the Islanders, but I think if the Rangers could do that, especially now, especially when you don't have Panarin, lockdown defense, goaltending's been good. Get those little opportunities and just bury. I don't know how Zibanejad doesn't just bury anymore.
But they can.
Yeah, I see that with the Islanders. Every time I play the Islanders, I get so like frustrated because they just like swallow you. Like, it's that very
suffocating.
They do. They swallow you. You know that you're probably scoring like a goal, 2 goals. You got to make the most of your opportunities. And that's where we struggle because we don't make the most of our opportunities. So
Correct.
that's, when you're playing teams, especially like the Islanders, that suffocate you and you get those open chances, it's like you're not going to get a lot of them. So you got to bury them. And that's going to be the difference in the game.
Yeah, I think a big factor is the fans aren't in the building to yell shoot anymore. We're completely discounting that. The Rangers only shoot when fans are there to yell shoot, obviously. So they need us back at MSG Stat, February 23rd. Well, 2,000 people will be there. But you mentioned Igor Shesterkin, and what's been your biggest takeaway so far from him? I mean, yes, he gave up 4 goals last game, but I thought he looked really sharp, and he's looked really sharp over the course of the last 5 games.
Yeah, I remember reading he said that when he talked to Lundqvist, Lundqvist had kind of let him know, you haven't really tasted, what it's like to be that number 1 goalie. Like, you have played some games, it was your first season coming up, but it's a different ball game kind of when, you're the goalie. And I think Shesterkin did say he kind of felt that at the beginning of the season. He was like kind of taken off guard, that he was a little bit nervous. And, you forget because he's Shesterkin and you're like, oh, we had Lundqvist and now we have like his prodigy coming up, that you just think he's going to be like perfect from the jump and he's going to be like the second coming of Lundqvist right off the bat. So when he's letting in some iffy goals, you're like panicking. And then you have to kind of remind yourself, like, this is his first full season, and it's like a wacky season anyway in the NHL. So I think he's shown that he's just going to get better, and I think he's really settled into his own, and he's looking like the player that he was last season in those, 12 or how many games he ended up playing for us. So I think he's going to be fine. I think that our goalies and our defense, the Rangers have always been a good defensive team. I mean, we've always had Lundqvist keeping us in 1-goal games. And I think it's always been like, I remember seeing a tweet about like Zibanejad being like the next Nash. And I'm like, please no. Like, I get like flashbacks of Nash, just like, you're like, Nash, are you kidding me? Like these shots that you're like a prime, offensive guy coming over, and like, he was great for us, but you're like, some of those chances that he missed, and I'm like, please no, like, we can't have this curse again on a guy like Zibanejad. So, but yeah, I think Shesterkin's going to be great. I think he's showing that he's coming into his own, and that nervousness at the beginning of the season was just what it was. It was young nerves. So
Zibanejad is just in a slump. That's all it is.
But this is too long. She just brought up Rick Nash, and I have his missed chance in the Stanley Cup final engraved in my brain. I have nightmares about that so often. Oh God, I couldn't stand him when he was here.
I'm sorry.
I'm very pessimistic.
Those memories for you.
That was such a bad memory. I thought they were going to score. That was the game. Would have been 2-2 going back to LA, but
But we know what happened, right?
Yeah, funny guy over here. How many cups of the Islanders been in the last couple of years?
I don't know. Short-term memory loss. Natalina, what do you think has been the biggest disappointment? Is it the play of Zibanejad or Lafreniere not being that goal-scoring machine that people, maybe expected him to be this season?
I mean, I think it's like so crazy. I don't know. Maybe we're not used to having like first overall picks. It's been how many years? Like, we're not used to having like these game-changing, organization-changing types, like a Crosby or like, one of those, first overall picks. So when we have one, it's like we expect so much of him right away. For me, Lafreniere doesn't like bother me at all. Like, could he be scoring more? Could he be doing a little bit more? Yeah, but like, again, I think with the younger guys, it is more about the effort. With the guys like Zibanejad, Kreider, who's making all this money now off a new long contract, I love your effort, but effort really isn't enough. You got to start producing at some point. You are the leaders of this team. You do need to put up points, and you do need to show up on the stats. For guys like Lafreniere and Kakko and just those young guys, even guys like Fox, who's playing played like 27 minutes or something ridiculous. One of these games. He's like always on the ice. Like, guys like that, I don't mind an effort game. I don't mind looking back at a game being like, Lafreniere looked good out there. Like, did he score? Did he miss a couple chances? Yeah, but was he like really out there? Was his speed there? Was he getting to the net? Was he showing like, those flashes of himself? That to me is less concerning than a guy like Zibanejad, who, again, I know he had COVID. I think it's his hair. I really think he needs to cut it off.
Thank you.
I genuinely feel like it's like the mojo thing, like get it off and like cut it out and like start fresh or something. Cause like we need him to get going. He's, without him, we would have been half of the team that we were last season. So we can't just like overshadow that and be like, Lafreniere is going to, take over and we don't need Zibanejad to do what he's doing because we have Lafreniere now. Like, it doesn't work that way. So I think it's got to, fall on Zibanejad a little bit.
His hair's getting caught in his skates. That's why he's so slow out there.
Do you guys have telepathy? I mean, you're saying that about the hair, and I'm watching Brendan because we had these conversations off air. All Brendan says is, the guy needs a haircut. It's his hair. It's his hair.
First of all, it's disgusting. I mean, there's something as flow, but this guy's hair is way too long. Trim it up, make it look nice, feel good. They always say feel good, look good, play good, right? He's got to get that mojo back a little bit.
Did you get a haircut, Brendan?
Not for this, but you see how it's clean up there? No, I'm not growing that to my behind like he does. You got to trim that up.
It didn't help you in your hockey game the other day.
Yeah, funny guy. Funny. I'm not getting paid though.
That's very true. All right, Natalina, last question. Do you think the Rangers could find a way to make this a worthwhile season?
I mean, I think with a young team, I remember it's like so crazy because last time we talked, there was like so much optimism and so much like all these like possibilities of like this new season, like this season coming back and finally getting hockey back. So like, I don't want to, discourage the season and, take it for granted because they are in such a crazy, year. And I think we can't discredit the fact that there aren't fans there. We have a bunch of young guys who are playing in their first or second NHL seasons and there's no fans there. And that's a huge part of it. I mean, I know they're professionals, but to have them playing without fans, it does affect them. To be playing the same teams over and over again, like to just have that mentality that it's a different season going on does, affect them. I think that any season, is a worthwhile season. I think with the injuries with Trouba, like who is next at this point? Like what else are like what's happening with these injuries? But I think like for a guy like Adam Fox, this is going to be a year that we remember in his career and remember like this is when, he came out to the NHL. Like he was great last year for a rookie, but a guy like him, a guy like Lindgren, just seeing guys in roles, DiGiuseppe coming out and just like, every game he's noticeable and he's a guy, Shesterkin getting his games in, Georgiev, like having that tandem going on with the goalies. I don't think it's ever going to be a wasted season. It's just, for me, it's hard because it's like, then you have guys like Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, who are like older and like in their primes. And you're like, we're in this like weird kind of middle where we don't want to wait too long for the young guys to develop and be enough for a cup run, because then our older guys are going to, be out of their prime. So it's kind of like this balance. But I think, within the next couple years, I still stick by my Stanley Cup.
Well, you just took a much more level-headed approach than I'm going to take in about 5 minutes. So kudos to you for that. But I do think they will be towards that cup contention in a couple of years.
Don't bring this episode back in 3 years if they're like at the bottom of the Metro and you're like,
We will, but not because of what you said, because of what about to come out of my mouth, probably. So it's okay. If they're not in cup contention in 3 years, then they basically did just waste Panarin's contract. So there's that type of pressure that's coming with it too.
Definitely a lot of pressure.
Natalina, thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Of course. Anytime, guys. Thank you so much.
No problem. Take care. I cut off a little early. My bad.
You did. You just
I'm sorry.
kicked her
I'm
out.
sorry now. I'm sorry.
Oh
okay.
my God! What a rude host.
All right, guys. So there are a lot of organizations trying to help the community, especially on Long Island. And Long Island Hockey Co. is selling hats. For every hat they sell on their website, they'll be donating 50 meals to families in need. So go to longislandhockeyco.com and check out their hats. It's a great way to help the community. And shout out to them. A great organization, great company.
Shout out to Long Island Hockey Co.
I mean, they're great. Their stuff is stellar. I wear my hat every day, and the shirt's comfortable. I have not one complaint, and we help the community, so it's a win-win. Something the Rangers haven't done often.
Speaking of complaints, you ready, Stefen?
Hold on, I'm gonna buckle up.
Get a stretch going. Get a little neck crank in here. All right. The Islanders played the Sabres, who came off a hiatus. What'd the Islanders do?
Beat them twice.
The Kings played the Wild coming off a hiatus. What'd the Kings do?
Beat them.
Shut them out. The Rangers play the Devils coming off a hiatus. What do the Rangers do?
Get shellacked.
Get dominated. Get absolutely pumped. You could use any type of adjective that you want to use. They looked like dog, insert superlative here.
Or you could just say no chemistry or system, and the Rangers look like they are a pickup team of decent players. You just go to men's league, the locker room. Hey guys, want to stay after? We got a game in like 10 minutes. I'm Madison Square Garden. I just want to play. Oh, sure.
I mean, that's basically what they're doing.
Aaron Ashton's just chilling there, waiting for his moment to shine again. But yeah.
But okay, so obviously not a great performance.
No.
I think that the Rangers themselves talked about it, which is great. I love that they keep talking about after their terrible performances how bad they are and how much better they need to be. How about you just do it? I'm not going down that path. Igor Shesterkin is a very good goaltender. That got solidified last night. Jacob Trouba had a soccer kick one past him for the Devils to start getting momentum. Artemi Panarin and Keandre Miller are both out, and that's huge. Natalina mentioned Artemi Panarin's absence, but Keandre Miller might be equally as important on that back end. We saw they hadn't given up any more than 2 goals per game in Shesterkin's, I think, last 4 or 5 starts. And the one game Miller's out, all of a sudden the floodgates start to open a little more. To me, that's not a coincidence. Miller is that important despite him being 14 games into his NHL career, which is mind-boggling to me.
I mean, Miller hurts. I don't know. Like, of course, Panarin's Panarin, and you can't really replace him. But the way Miller's been playing, and
unreal.
He's a huge, for how good of an offense this team should be. Losing Panarin, your best player, shouldn't cripple you to. It's not like the Islanders losing Barzal, where it's game over. Like, I mean, lately depth has played a part. Pajot scoring, Lee scoring, Bailey getting assists, Nelson scoring, the fourth line was scoring as well. But again, when in the beginning part of the season, it was Barzal or the team was losing. Even when Barzal played well, the team could still lose. Rangers should not be like that, where they lose their top offensive player, and now look, absolutely lost. I think Miller's loss should hurt more.
It probably will.
But unfortunately, the Rangers aren't scoring, so not having Panarin just adds to that issue.
Well, they both should be back Thursday. Okay. So that's optimistic. But Philip Edel's still out. Trouba's now out 4 to 6 weeks. So you still have injuries that you're dealing with. They're the youngest team in the NHL. We have to remember that. I'll try to remember that over the course of the next 3 minutes. I promise. But when I watch their game, 2 things stick out to me. One, they can't catch a pass. I tweeted out that they might want to invest in Howie's stick wax because it was just the most absurd amount of bobbled passes and no clean entries. And then when they do get a clean entry, there's no puck support. And I've watched Capo Caco digest his way through the neutral zone a couple of times. Phenomenal entries. He gets in, he picks his head up, and this 20-year-old kid's now on an island because there's no support. And sure, that could be something on the players, but to me, it's more about the coaching staff and the systems they have in place on what to do once you enter the zone. You watch a very good puck-moving team. The Colorado Avalanche stick out to me in my mind. When they enter the zone, there's 2 things that happen. There's either a clear lane for somebody to skate and make a pass, or it's a hard rim and they have support on the opposite wall. They get the puck, get possession, set up in the zone. It's very simple, but they do it to a perfect they exemplify to the rest of the league how to execute that. And because of that execution, it makes them so hard to defend. It's why they're always at the top of the league in goals. The Rangers, you don't have to do it as perfect. You just have to do something where you're not turning the puck over in what we call the gray areas at the top of the blue line. And they do that way too often. And to me, it comes back to coaching. And it's why we just had this conversation with Natalina about David Quinn. He's past his welcome in New York. And that's just my opinion. I don't think he's going to get fired to the end of the season if he gets fired. But to me, I would do it now. And you ready for why I would do it now?
Because the season's not over?
Well, it is over.
Wake the guys up?
Yeah, the season's over. They're not making the playoffs in this division. They're not.
I would say that way they learn under a new coach this year. That way next year they're not in a situation like this.
Well, I'm going to show you something courtesy of our good friend Luca Colombano. I told him I'd give him a shout out. He tagged me in this on Twitter, and it's from Phil Kosher. I saw this, I read it, and I said, wow, eerily similar.
Yeah.
Steven Stamkos was taken first overall in 2008. He had no points through his first 7 games. He had 2 goals through his first 16. At that point, the Tampa Bay Lightning fired then head coach Barry Melrose. The New York Rangers have played 14 games. Alexei Lafreniere has 1 goal. Stamkos finished that season with 23 goals and 46 points over 79 games, a .58 point per game pace. Lafreniere is currently at a .07 point per game pace. It worked for them. That move paved the way for a Stanley Cup.
Years down the road,
but you don't fire Barry Melrose then. You don't know what happens next. If all of a sudden Stamkos figured it out under Barry Melrose, maybe you don't hire John Cooper, and then the whole thing doesn't pan out. Every single move ties in. Same way if you don't if you don't talk about the Rangers, right? They're on a coaching search. They hire AV. If you hire Mike Sullivan, it's a different story now. I mean, there's all these moves pan out in the long run. A coach that does not get the most out of a first overall pick is obviously not going to get the most out of everybody else in the locker room. And no, I don't look at Lafreniere and say 1 goal, oh my God, he's a bust. What I do look at is I say he doesn't look involved as I want to see. Kakko doesn't have many points. He's got 2 goals and 1 assist, but he's involved. You hear his name. He holds the puck. He possesses the puck. Lafreniere doesn't do that. They don't give him the support. They don't give him the chances. And it's really starting to tick me off because if you put me behind the bench, I would throw him out there in every situation. I would never play a Jack Johnson. I'd always play the younger kid over him because it comes to the point where, yes, you're in the 3rd year of your rebuild, the final year of your rebuild. Let these young kids get those minutes. Your penalty kill should never have Brendan Smith on it when you have a young guy like Libor Hayek who might be struggling, but you want to see if he could take that step on the bench. There's certain aspects of their game that they should push their younger kids in. Force them to play, especially when there's no fans in this crowd that could boo them, and it's just them on the ice, and they don't do it. Lindy Ruff does it. Lindy Ruff just beat you twice. The world's worst assistant coach, right? Just beat you twice. Maybe that says something. And I watched Mike Sullivan coach. I watched Lindy Ruff coach, and they have Jacques Martin on their bench. And to me, if you're not going to go after a Gallant, you have your head coach on the bench right now. Look what he's done with the defense. Give the guy a chance. Don't overthink it. Don't do what you've done with the last 2 head coaches. And please make the change before this guy Quinn forces one of these other top picks to be another Elias Anderson.
Oof, you mentioned Elias Anderson's name. Now everything gets spicy. Yeah, it's not good. And I agree with every point you made, Brendan. Well done. Way to not lose your cool while also passively aggressively complaining about your New York Ranger team. So in the last couple of minutes, Brendan, I have a question for you. Would you rather talk about NHL Rewind, or would you rather talk about our fun game against each other on Monday?
Let's talk about our game because
let's talk about our game.
You deserve it.
Thank you. I'll let you go first.
I mean, there's nothing much to say besides my team dominated and Stefen stood in his dome.
I can't lie. I did. I had a good game. And
Stefen played. I went up to him and I said, if you played that way when we were at Cortland together, we would have won a national championship. But at the same time, there was no way that he had to make like 7 saves that would have been on ESPN top 10.
I mean, I would love to look at just how many high danger chances my team allowed for you guys to have, just because it felt like every shift the fact that I had to make 2 stacking the pad saves, and I got the glove on both of them, just made me feel real good. But I went into this game going, okay, I'm not going to play. My wrist has been killing me. I'm just not going to show up. Then I looked at the schedule and said, oh, it's Brennan's team, and we only play them once this year. I have to play. So, we play twice?
No, we're going to play you in the postseason probably.
Oh, I hope so. I can't wait to do it again. Yeah, you guys would probably win just because, it is what it is. But I wasn't going to play. Saw you guys in the schedule. I said, okay, I got to tape my wrist up. I got to get it going. I was in so much pain after that game.
Well, of course you were, because your glove was moving like this the whole entire time.
Yeah, it was fun. You got 2 shots on goal. The first one you flubbed. I'm not going to lie, you flubbed it.
I couldn't. I didn't flub it. Now, I'll admit when I flub a shot, I was going to wind up and rip it, but there were bodies in front, so I tried to shoot it low, just get a rebound, which it went out in front, but it got cleared. I couldn't rip it high because you know me, how I shoot on you in practice. I don't aim for the net when I'm shooting on Stefen. I aim right for the head.
Yeah.
Try to wake him up.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I would go for my head too. I'm a short goaltender. It works out. But you did pick up an assist, Brendan.
I did.
I tied the game. On the power play, I tied the game, right?
Yeah, it was a good play by, I can't remember who was in front, but I got the puck to the front. But you stole that game. And then you made 2 out of 3 saves in the shootout too, so.
Yeah, that was fun. During the warm-ups, actually, I was going against one of our better players, and he had like 6 or 7 shootout breakaway attempts, and I stopped him, and he goes, this is before the game started, he goes, well, that's really bad for me, but if we go to shootout, that's good for you. And I forgot to talk to him about it. I'll talk to him about it. Shout out to Singer, my man Singer, if he's listening, which we'll talk the next game, but he jaced it, and unfortunately, our team blew a 3-1 lead, which sucked, because I knew I was playing well, and I was like, okay, I want this game. I'm exhausted. I'm in pain. I don't want this to go to extra time. Fortunately, there was no overtime, because that would have been just... I wouldn't want to rob one of our friends in overtime. Like
if it went to overtime, I think we would have taken it.
Probably. There's too many chances. But it went to a shootout. Unfortunately, I played well enough to get the win. I got another game later tonight at puck drops at 10:05. So wrist is still killing me, but we'll wrap it up and hope to continue where I left off.
Yeah, no, it's not often I say you played well, but you played well. So congratulations on that.
I appreciate it. On that note, it is 7:00, guys. We'll be back at it again on Sunday and next Wednesday. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. Check out our sponsors, Ultralight, Long Island Hockey Co., and our new one, SUNY Cortland Sport Management Program, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week live.
The Back Check is your one-stop shop for NHL news and all things Rangers and Islanders. Thanks for sticking with us for this edition of The Back Check. Follow the show on social media at Back Check Pod.